Thank you cards are not only my most used kind of card, they're also my favorite kind of card to make because I love to send thank you cards and just say thank you for any number of reasons. So today, since I make so many thank you cards, in this lesson I wanted to try to think about what could I do that would be totally different, something I've never done before. So we're going to combine a steampunk gentleman stamp from Tim Holtz with some neon ombre ink. And you know what, guys, it's a lot of fun. So let's get started. We're going to start simple here on the card base. It is 4 by 5.5 folded. And we're going to get out the neon ink and just pop it open here. And you'll notice it's got the darker to the lighter. Now what we're going to do is start at one end and only on the edge, maybe about a ½ an inch or so. And we're going to swipe to the edge. Don't worry if it's got some white spots, that's fine. Then we're going to flip it around so that the blue is lining up with the blue. And repeat. And then we're going to flip it around one more time so that the yellow lines up with the yellow. Then we're going to turn it over. I'm right-handed, so I like to continue to work from the same side. And I'm just going to look at my rainbow here and make sure that I'm going to be going with the same, although it doesn't really matter. You could do it a different way. And as I'm doing this, I'm just overlapping it ever so slightly so that the colors are going to be nice and solid. Now, if there's a few little areas there where you're going, well, that's just not enough, you can go back over and apply a little more pressure. Absolutely. You could also go back in if you needed to go a little farther in. We are not going to worry about the middle because the middle is going to be covered with a secondary piece of paper. So this is just our background. We can set that aside while we work on our stamped and embossed image. So this is my paper here that I've got. And then these are the Evolution, kind of steampunk inspired stamps, new stamps from Tim Holtz. And this particular gentleman, I'm going to place him on my stamping block. I'm also going to get ready my clear embossing powder. I'm going to have it all set and ready. Now, what we just did on the background, we're going to do again, only this time onto the stamp. And this time I'm going to press a little bit more. So I've noticed with the ombre ink pads, if I twist, not a lot, but just ever so slightly, to kind of tap and twist to make sure I get a really full coverage so there are no gaps. And then I flip it around so that the yellow is lining up with the yellow. And I'm going to make sure to really get a lot of ink on this. And then one more time we flip around and overlap the blue color just a ever so slightly. And what I love about this is the ombre inks, because they're so set in size and everything, I can really easily look. If there's a spot that needs fixing, I can very easily come back in here and fix it. But everything looks great here. So what I am going to do is take my gentleman and stamp him onto this paper. Now he won't fully fit. He's going to be a little too long for my paper, and that is totally okay. I'm just going to get a nice press all over since this is a very big stamp and lift off. And quickly, you don't need to run or anything, but quickly pour clear embossing powder over the ink. And what this is going to do is we're going to go ahead and heat set this so that we get a nice shiny finish. So once this has all the way set, once I've got everything all beautiful and set and shiny, now we are ready to add a little contrast. And this might sound crazy with neon, but I'm going to go in with some brown distress ink. I have the ground espresso here. Really any of the browns would work. And I'm going to start in the center area because most of it is embossed. It's going to resist my ink in most of the places. But wherever there is no ink, we are going to get some great brown showing up. And I just absolutely love how this turned out. It's just so much fun. And you can play around with if you want more brown or less brown in some areas. Definitely up to you. I like to either start all the way off the paper or start in the center here where there is the embossed image, because that helps me prevent any hard lines or any awkward blending. Once you are happy with it, the next thing to do, we are going to use the Tim Holtz ruler here and just tear off some of this excess. Not a ton, just a little bit on each side. Now what I like about doing this is it leaves me with a crisp, sharp white edge because I am pulling up on the paper. And I like that contrast with the brown and with the neon. So we're gonna go back to our original card background that we already made. And my paper here is just a little bit larger. I'm not gonna worry about that at all. I'm just gonna center it up and then use some adhesive here to get it all set onto the card. I can always trim off that little bit of excess in a moment. Now there's just one thing left to do, and that is to say thank you. So I am going to go ahead and stamp the thank you with a different Hero Arts ombre ink. This one is all pinks and reds, and these are so much fun to play with. And I am going to put my stamp almost sideways here and just kind of stamp, but I am doing the little tapping thing that I do again. It just seems to work a little bit better for me with the ombre ink, since you do actually have 3 separate ink pads on that one pad. And then stamp onto my paper, and you can see all those bright, lovely colors. And I'm just going to, it doesn't need to be heat set, but when I'm gonna flip things over and work with them, and I'm not sure if the ink is still slightly damp, I like to do that just to make sure I don't ruin a great project. And then run some tape under there and decide where I would like to see my sentiment. Place it down, and we have only one final step left here, which is to grab our scissors and trim off any excess. And I can go ahead at this time as well and trim up off here. We have our thank you card. I hope you had a lot of fun with this one. I know I love the mix of neon and brown and all the technique, and I can't wait to send this card off to someone special. I hope you have enjoyed all of these card making techniques for all different occasions. To get all of these supplies and even more inspiration, visit Scrapbook.com. Thank you for joining me.